Hello everyone, welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy, the Hindu Newspaper Analysis. So in today's lecture, we have few very important news articles that are covered from both the Hindu newspaper as well as the Indian Express newspaper. So before discussing all those important news articles, let's try to solve the yesterday's given practice question. The question was, Human Development Report was published by which of the following organizations? The options given here are the World Bank Group, World Economic Forum, C, United Nations Development Program, D, International Monetary Fund. About Human Development Report, we have already discussed in one of our previous lectures. So the correct answer for this question is C, United Nations Development Program. So this United Nations Development Program, also known as UNDP, releases Human Development Index or Human Development Report, and India ranked 134th position in 2023 Human Development Report released by the United Nations Development Program. So we will try to solve, or we'll discuss about the today's given practice question, that is, which one of the following has launched the Ethanol 100 program? So the options given here are Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Ministry of Coal, and Ministry of Power. So please choose the correct answer and comment the correct answer in the comment section. Now let's discuss the today's given very important news articles, and the first very important news article is with respect to India's neighborhood first policy. We all knew that in the year 2014, when NDA government came to power under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, the government has launched the neighborhood first policy. The neighborhood first policy. So we all know that India is located in a complex neighborhood. We have a complex neighborhood. So therefore, under the neighborhood first policy, we wanted to maintain the best possible relations with all our neighbors. Because of that reason, the government of India has launched the neighborhood first policy. We will prioritize all our neighbors and we will maintain friendly ties with all other neighboring countries. So therefore, that ensures India's regional leadership, and that also ensures India's regional stature, and at the same time ensuring the regional peace also. Now, however, this particular article that is given in the Hindu newspaper, that says that ties that epitomize India's neighborhood first policy. So in this particular article, the author has been specifically talking about India and Bhutan ties. How India and Bhutan, despite a lot of differences, have maintained a very close ties right from past few decades. So that is what we need to discuss here in this article. Recently, we all knew that there was a high-level delegation visit from Bhutan to India. So recent discussions that took place between India and Bhutan, and also reflections, have brought to the attention that the enduring and remarkable friendship between India and Bhutan. So there's no doubt that India and Bhutan have been maintaining friendly ties. Okay, one of the best possible ties with each other. Now, I can tell you one example with respect to India-Bhutan ties. We all knew about the Belt and Road Initiative. This is a Chinese infrastructure project. Almost all countries in India's neighborhood are part of this Belt and Road Initiative, except India and Bhutan. So Bhutan is not part of this Belt and Road Initiative, partially due to India's concerns also with respect to this particular BRI project. So this is the level of confidence and cooperation that we are enjoying between Bhutan and India. So therefore, despite having a vast differences in size and population, both these countries have been enjoying a tremendous progress in relations. So this enduring partnership has sparked interest and admiration that has led to the further examination of underlying factors. Now, underlying factors in the sense that what are the factors that have led to the growth of this particular relationship between both these countries with vast differences in size and population. And they have also fostered such close relationship from past 50 years and more. Okay, so still we consider Bhutan as one of the most trusted partner for us. Okay, so and at the same time, Bhutan is also known for maintaining a very close and very friendly ties with India, because Bhutan also has several concerns with respect to China. There was a Doklam conflict. Okay, so Doklam Tri Junction. So the security of Doklam Tri Junction is the responsibility of India, and this Doklam Tri Junction, there was a conflict in the year 2017 between Indian security forces and Chinese military forces. Okay, now we'll proceed further. So what is the basis of strong bilateral ties between India and Bhutan? We need to understand this. So what exactly is the basis of strong bilateral ties between these two countries? So there are several grounds based on which this partnership has built over a period of last 50 years. So first and foremost, we need to understand there are vast differences between India and Bhutan with respect to population, with respect to size, with respect to economy of both these countries. However, India and Bhutan have been sharing a long-standing bond, and that particular bond is built on two fundamental aspects. They are mutual respect. So mutual respect for each other's sovereignty, mutual respect for each other's interests, concerns. And apart from mutual respect, it is also built on the bond that is equality. Okay, so equality and mutual respect are two fundamental pillars on which the strong bond with Bhutan has built. However, apart from that, essence in recognizing the identities. Now, identities of each of these countries, recognition is very important. It has played a very important role here in strengthening the bilateral relationship between Bhutan and India. Okay, so it actually lies in recognizing each other's sovereignty and unique cultural identities. So we all know that Bhutan is an independent country. So therefore it has its own sovereignty, and India, one of the largest neighbor of Bhutan, so therefore India should also respect the sovereignty of Bhutan. And at the same time, Bhutan also has a unique cultural setting. So therefore India should also respect Bhutan's unique cultural setting. So therefore, ultimately, the unique relationship between India and Bhutan has been built on all these fundamental aspects, whether it is mutual respect, whether it is equality and respecting each other's sovereignty. That was also part of the Panchashil principles, and also understanding and appreciating each other's cultural identities, unique cultures between these two countries. And after that, trust is also another factor that has played a leading role in India-Bhutan relations. So when I say trust, India's commitment to respecting Bhutan's autonomy. Okay, so India has so far has not followed any aggressive strategy with respect to Bhutan. Okay, so India has not interfered in the internal affairs of Bhutan. Rather, India has been respecting the autonomy and the sovereignty of Bhutan, right? The sovereignty and territorial integrity, and Bhutan's autonomy has been respected by India, and this is a long-standing commitment of our country. So that has developed a lot of trust and goodwill between India and Bhutan. And apart from that, India has been playing one of the most important and fundamental role in fostering economic growth in Bhutan. Okay, so this has also helped in cultivating a sense of trust between India and Bhutan. So overall, what is the basis of strong bilateral relations? The basis is a strong bond that exists between these two countries, and both these countries have identified each other's identities, and at the same time, the trust that was built over last few years have helped in building a strong ties between each of these countries. However, Bhutan has launched several developmental programs and initiatives, and India will play a very important role in the success of those developmental initiatives and ensuring their future prospects. First and foremost, we need to talk about the new chapter and opportunities with respect to Bhutan. So Bhutan has a vision. So the vision for a mindfulness city, that is Gelepu. Okay. So this particular Gelepu city in Bhutan has been emphasizing on sustainability. Okay. So I hope you know about the meaning of sustainability. Sustainability essentially means that the resource use efficiency. We do not extract resources. Okay. Too many resources. Rather, we conserve the resources and we keep the resource use at a minimal rate, and at the same time ensuring those resources are also used by the future generations in a better and efficient manner, similar to us. So therefore it emphasizes on the aspect of sustainability and economic prosperity. So that actually signals a new chapter in the bilateral cooperation between India and Bhutan, right? So this mindfulness city at Gelepu is very important for India and Bhutan bilateral ties. So the success of Gelepu mindfulness city, so that expected to benefit not just Bhutan, but that also benefit the region, particularly India. Okay, so especially neighboring countries like India. Please remember, India is a southern neighbor for Bhutan. So therefore, this Gelepu mindfulness city will also benefit India, and it will also foster a lot of socio-economic development across the region, especially the northeast, and that requires a lot of development. Okay, so apart from that, there are certain crucial sectors between India and Bhutan that needs attention. So the sectors like hydropower corporation, okay, because Bhutan has a lot of hydropower generation capacity, hydropower generation potential, and if we are able to tap the hydropower resources, we can meet our energy requirements, because please understand, hydropower is also some extent a renewable form of electricity. Okay, so this is also a renewable electricity model. So therefore, hydroelectricity, tapping the hydroelectricity potential will also significantly help India, right? So hydropower corporation is actually considered as a cornerstone of India-Bhutan ties. However, it has not only boosted Bhutan's economy, but also exemplified successful government-to-government collaborations as well, right? So therefore, the hydropower cooperation, especially in the hydropower sector, is very important for both India and Bhutan, because I've already told you that Bhutan has a lot of hydropower potential, and with the help of India, Bhutan will be able to tap these hydropower resources, and that could benefit both of these countries. And in order to further enhance the ties between India and Bhutan, we need to talk about certain measures that India has taken in recent times. Okay, so for example, initiating direct flights to Gelepu, that is a mindfulness city, Gelepu in Bhutan, and providing technology assistance and even encouraging Indian investments in Bhutan. All these measures have been undertaken by the government of India. So that will further enhance the bilateral ties, between India and Bhutan, and that is very important here in this context. However, we need to talk about the exemplary relationship that India and Bhutan have been enjoying since last 50 years and even more, because both these countries have been upholding the principles of win-win cooperation. Any initiative or any developmental measure that is being undertaken by any of these countries would be benefiting each other. So that is essence of win-win cooperation. So therefore, India-Bhutan continue to set example for fruitful partnership and shared prosperity in the region. So we hope that this particular relationship between India and Bhutan would sustain the challenges of time, especially from countries like China, and the benefits of development would be reached to every corner in these two countries. And in order to ensure that, neighborhood first policy of India is very important. So India should walk on the light of neighborhood first policy. Now in this context, we will briefly discuss what exactly is India's neighborhood first policy. Okay, so this particular neighborhood first policy, as I have already told you, that was started by the government of India in the year 2014. Okay, so this is a foreign policy initiative, because I've already told you that the NDA government in the year 2014 has launched this neighborhood first policy to foster more close and friendly ties with India's complex neighborhood. That is very important. So therefore, it aims to strengthen India's relations with its immediate neighbors. So it aims to strengthen India's relations with all of its neighbors. Okay, so apart from that, it also has certain objectives. So those objectives are, it emphasizes on creating a peaceful, prosperous, stable and neighboring neighborhood. Okay, so this particular neighborhood first policy will emphasizes on creating a peaceful, prosperous, stable neighborhood throughout the enhanced connectivity, right? So how can it ensure? It ensures through encouraging the connectivity between India and its neighborhood. For example, if I can talk about BBIN network. Okay, so BBIN network is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal road network. So that promotes the regional connectivity. Okay, so after that, Myanmar, Thailand, India trilateral highway. So even though Thailand is not India's neighbor, it will also promote the connectivity and ultimately achieving the objective of neighborhood first policy, that is creating a peaceful, prosperous, stable neighborhood for India. Now we will understand few principles which are part of the India's neighborhood first policy. So what are those principles? Respecting sovereignty and territorial integrity, and this is what India has been doing with respect to Bhutan, and we have also discussed. So respecting each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity has helped India and Bhutan to excel in their bilateral relations. Okay, so foster friendly ties with each other. However, with respect to China, this particular principle of respecting sovereignty and territorial integrity is very often violated, because China is very often claiming that Arunachal Pradesh is part of China, and at the same time a frequent border incursions across line of actual control is also a violation of this particular principle, sovereignty and territorial integrity. But on the other hand, India under Panchashil respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all its neighbor countries. After that, mutual respect and sensitivity is also another principle. So that is being followed under India's neighborhood first policy. So India will respect every neighboring country irrespective of its size, irrespective of population, irrespective of the economy, and that is what it has been happening with respect to Bhutan. Followed by that, there will be a policy of non-interference in the internal affairs. So India will not interfere in the internal affairs of those countries, because ultimately India follows the principle of respecting the sovereignty of those countries. So because of that reason, India will not interfere in the internal affairs. Okay, so India will also respect the shared prosperity, or India will also work with all of its neighbors to ensure shared prosperity. Okay, so the prosperity of the region not just belong to one country, not just belong to one particular region. Rather, the prosperity should be shared with India's all the neighbors, and that is the overall objective of neighborhood first policy. After that, the connectivity for regional integration. Now if you can talk about the SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, it is said that South Asia is least integrated region. So their intra-regional trade is also very less compared to several other organizations, regional organizations. So therefore, India has been focusing on improving the connectivity under the neighborhood first policy. So earlier also I have told you that BBIN network, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal network, and also India, Myanmar, Thailand trilateral highway network. So they primarily aimed to improve connectivity across the region. So improving connectivity would also give a fillip to trade and commerce between all these countries, and that also helps in regional integration over a period of time. So after that, the people to people exchanges, because we have common culture, all our neighbors have almost similar cultures, so therefore people to people engagement is very important. Apart from people to people engagement, we also have common challenges and shared interests. So pursuing all those common challenges and fulfilling our common interests is part of India's neighborhood first policy, and these are the common principles. So after that, we will understand briefly what are the challenges that India has been facing with respect to its neighbors. So there are a lot of challenges that India has been facing with respect to its neighbors. So India's relations with neighbors have been marked by a range of challenges and a range of different issues over a period of last few years. First and foremost, we need to talk about the border disputes. When I say border disputes, you very often know about the India-China border disputes at Doklam and the Galwan clashes, that is with respect to the line of actual control, because China is very often violating India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. So therefore, border disputes between India and China are one of the key concerning factor for a country like India. Now apart from this, we also have the border disputes with Pakistan. Okay, so border disputes with Pakistan with respect to the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Not just Pakistan occupied Kashmir, Sir Creek. Okay, so this is also a disputed region between India and Pakistan. So that is very often leading to tensions, frequent tensions, and even military conflicts between India, China, and India, Pakistan, and that is a concern for us. Okay, because we have to spend a significant amount of our military resources on these conflicts, these military conflicts. So after that, we need to talk about terrorism. So India is one of the country which is highly vulnerable to terrorism, because if you look at the location of India, it is located with a complex neighborhood, I could say. Now in Afghanistan, there is a Taliban regime. Pakistan has been continuously supporting and sponsoring terrorism, and Pakistan is also known for cross-border terrorism, that is infiltration of terrorists into the Indian side from the line of control. So we have also been facing issues like from Myanmar, India, there's insurgency, and from Bangladesh also there's a problem of insurgency. So because we are located with a complex neighborhood, India has also been facing the problem of terrorism. Okay, so India is very often known as the victim of terrorism, and it is being perpetrated by groups which are living in the neighboring states, especially Pakistan. For example, if I can talk about few terrorist groups: Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed. So all these are terrorist groups. They have undertaken various terrorist attacks in India. For example, 26/11 Mumbai terror attack by Lashkar-e-Toiba. Okay, so even promoting radicalism, Islamic fundamentalism, and even promoting cross-border terrorism into Jammu and Kashmir are concerns that India has been facing as of now with respect to its neighbors. So after that, we should talk about the competition that India has been facing from China. So India's growing geopolitical and economic influence in recent times, you could clearly see that India has surpassed around $3.5 trillion economy. Now India is more than $3.5 trillion economy, and it has been competing with countries like China militarily, economically, technologically. and it has also been significantly increasing its influence in the region along with the like-minded countries. So that has increased its competition with China, and this led to tensions over the issues such as trade and investment. Okay, so the other concern that we have been facing with China is a huge trade deficit. Okay, so we have a huge trade deficit of around $100 billion with China, and overall focus is reducing the trade deficit over a period of time, and we should also explore the export destinations other than China. So after that, most of the countries in India's neighborhood are part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, but Bhutan and India are not part of the Belt and Road Initiative so far. After that, we should also talk about the political instability that we have been facing. Political instability. So recently we have seen the political instability in Sri Lanka. Due to the economic crisis, and we have also seen the political instability in Pakistan, political instability in Taliban ruled Afghanistan, and even the political instability in Myanmar, where a military junta has overtaken the democratically elected government, and still there's a lot of conflicts have been going on in Myanmar. So the political instability is also an issue. So apart from that, sorry, we also have water sharing disputes with our neighbors. So when I say water sharing disputes, we have a water sharing dispute with respect to the Indus Water Treaty with Pakistan, and with respect to Bangladesh also, that is on Teesta river water sharing. And not just that, we also have disputes with China about the Indus River as well as the Brahmaputra River data sharing. So therefore, India has been facing a number of challenges with its neighbors. So what steps have been taken by India to strengthen its relations in recent times? We should also discuss in a very brief manner. So economic cooperation. Okay, so when I say economic cooperation, so India has been planning to increase trade, investment and cross-border connectivity also. Okay, so I've also told you about few projects that are being launched by India, or India is part of. For example, South Asia's intra-regional trade is the lowest globally. Okay, so it has been constituting only 5% of regional total trade. In order to further give a boost to this intra-regional trade, there is a need to increase trade, investment and cross-border connectivity across all these regions. Followed by that, the people-to-people exchanges are also very important. India can promote the people-to-people exchanges by facilitating cultural, educational, tourism exchanges. Because please understand, almost all of these countries in India's neighborhood have the common culture or similar culture. So because of that reason, India could facilitate the cultural, tourism and even educational exchanges between different countries, because India has to take such initiative, as it is known as the regional leader in South Asia. So after that, the security cooperation with all of these countries is also very important to deal with the terrorism and insurgency. So that have been creating a lot of problems for India. So to address common security challenges such as terrorism, cyber threats and transnational crimes, so initiatives like SARC, BIMSTEC framework, so they can play a very important role, and that could also deal with the internal security threats. So next we need to talk about the regional integration aspect also. So when I say regional integration, developing connectivity, improving trade and commerce and improving the people-to-people exchanges, people-to-people ties, all those things comes under the regional integration. So in this context, India can support regional integration by participating actively in regional forums such as SARC, BIMSTEC and Indian Ocean Rim Association. Okay, so that's all about the India's neighborhood first policy. Now we will discuss the next very important news article. So the next very important news article is with respect to the minimum support prices. So here the author has been saying that guaranteed MSP or providing legal status to minimum support prices is actually considered as ethical imperative by the government. So we all know that there has been a farmer protest 2.0. This particular farmer protest has been demanding legal status or legal recognition to the MSP regime. So in this context, we will briefly understand what does MSP mean, and then we'll try to discuss this particular article as well. Now first, understand why it is in news, the guaranteed MSP. So farmers have been demanding legal recognition to the minimum support price announced by the government. So this demand of the farmers have come before the elections and highlighting the agricultural concerns faced by the farmers. Now in this context, we will understand what is minimum support price. So minimum support price is defined as a guaranteed amount, so that is being paid to the farmers by the government, and after paying that guaranteed amount, the government procures the produce from the farmers. So this MSP is determined by the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices. So this is just recommends the MSP to the government, and ultimately Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs takes a decision with respect to the MSP. Also understand, the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices takes a decision over MSP before sowing in every season. Okay, every season in the sense both Kharif and Rabi season. So the Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices takes a decision before the sowing of Kharif season and Rabi season with respect to the MSP. And MSP is very often linked to the production cost, demand and supply dynamics, and even the market trends. So after taking into consideration all these factors, the Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices will decide the minimum support prices for various crops. So the minimum support price aims to ensure fair prices to farmers and encourage crop diversification and even enhance the agricultural income also. Okay, so now we will understand what are the major crops that are being covered under the minimum support price. So the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices recommends MSP for 22 crops before sowing period of the year. Okay, both Kharif and Rabi. So MSP derived for Thoria based on MSP for rapeseeds and mustards, and dehusked coconut on the basis of MSP for copra, and fair and remunerative prices are provided for the sugarcane. Now all these crop or plant varieties or crops which are part of this particular slide are given MSP. So please go through all these crops which are provided the MSP and also the fair and remunerative prices by the government, because UPSC has already asked one question that which of the following crops are provided minimum support prices. So in those options, UPSC has also included coffee. Okay, so you can see here coffee has not been provided the MSP, and it has also not provided the fair and remunerative prices. So this is how it has been asking questions. So after that, we need to talk about certain challenges that the agriculture sector has been facing specifically, and that are being discussed in this article by the author. Firstly, this मुलाई अंदर आके रख देना. So it has highlighted the agrarian issues. So when I say agrarian issues, as general elections have been approaching, so therefore the farmers have highlighted the distress that they have been facing. Okay, so distress in the sense that they are not able to get the remunerative prices for their produce. So this is one challenge that the farmers have been facing. So after that, pushing for agrarian issues, as I have already told you that the farmers are not able to get the fair prices for their produce. Okay, farmers have not able to get the fair prices for their produce. So because of that reason, the farmers have been protesting against providing fair and remunerative prices for their particular produce, and it should be prioritized in the electoral discourse as well. So after that, we need to talk about the unaddressed issues that the farmers have been facing. So there are several issues that the farmers have been facing. So when I say several issues, the government has been trying to address the concerns that the farmers have been facing. Now, unaddressed issues is providing legal status to MSP, providing legal status to the minimum support prices. Okay, and at the same time, farmers have also been facing problems with respect to procurement of these food grains under the MSP. And after that, the farm debt is also another major challenge, because farmers very often don't get the institutional credit, or they don't have access to the institutional credit. So because of that reason, the government has attempted to address few concerns of the farmers by offering them to procure pulses, maize, cotton at the minimum support prices. However, the crop diversification, so in order to encourage crop diversification, because crop diversification is very important, monocropping practices very often results in increased pest attacks, and at the same time increases the spread of diseases if we encourage the monocropping practices. Okay, so monocropping practices, so it will also leads to the poor market price realization if we promote the monocropping. So because of that reason, what the government has been doing, the government has been encouraging diversification. However, farmers have rejected these efforts of the government, citing that the government has not addressed several core issues that the farmers have been facing. They have said that they have been facing a lot of core issues, but the government has not addressed those core issues. Next, we need to talk about the comprehensive solution that is provided by the author for the farmer woes, or for the farmer problems. So the perennial issue that the farmers have been facing is fair pricing for the farm produce. As of now, there was no fair price for the farm produce in the market. So even though government has been providing fair prices under the MSP regime, but in markets, farmers very often don't get the fair pricing. So it is very often coupled with demands for legal assurance for MSP. So because of that reason, farmers have been demanding legal assurances for MSP, and underscoring the need for comprehensive solutions to ensure agricultural sustainability as well as the equitable distribution of benefits through this particular aspect. Next, significance of MSP and challenges in its implementation, also the other thing that we need to talk about. So when I say significance of MSP, because of that the farmers have been protesting, and it also comes with certain challenges as well. First and foremost, we need to talk about the poor implementation of this MSP regime. We all know that MSP very often serves as a crucial tool for ensuring food security. How it ensures food security? Imagine the government provides MSP and procures food grains, and the food grains would be used to fill the buffer stocks, and from the buffer stocks the government supply food grains. Okay, from the buffer stocks the government supply food grains to the poor people through the public distribution system. So therefore, on one way, through MSP, the government has been ensuring food security for the people under National Food Security Act. And the government has also been setting up benchmark for agricultural commodities as well. Okay, so it has been setting up a benchmark for the agricultural commodities. However, its implementation still remains poor. So that is the major problem. Its implementation is still remains poor. So next, the cycle of debt and distress that the farmers have been going through. So we all know that farmers are very often denied the institutional credit by the banking sector. So in order to get the credit, the required amount of credit, they very often approach the local money lenders. Okay, so when I say local money lenders, they very often charge higher sums of interest. So So these higher interest rate and crop failure and even poor market price realization, so all these factors will lead to the distress for the farmer, so rendering farming economically unviable for the majority of the farmers, and it even perpetuate the cycle of debt and distress among the lives of these farmers. So very often it leads to farmer suicides, and that is also one of the major concern that farmers have been facing as of now. So we need to talk about the legal assurances, legal guarantees for MSPs are supported by the public opinion. Okay, so public even supporting the legal guarantees for the MSP and even favoring farmers' demand for such assurances. So therefore, the author has been suggesting that the government should look into the demand of legal recognition of MSPs by the farmers. So the author has also suggested certain solutions and policy recommendations as well in this regard. So what are those suggestions? First and foremost, agriculture produce must get the fair remuneration. So that is very important. When I say fair remuneration, the author has been suggesting to introduce minor amendments in the State Agriculture Produce Market Committees Act or Essential Commodities Act. Okay, so a minor amendment at the central level in the APMC Act and Essential Commodities Act, so that could establish a legal framework preventing transactions below the MSP. So below MSP transactions in the markets. Okay, so that ensures the fair remuneration for the agriculture produce of the farmers in the APMC mandis. So imagine, I can tell you that 1 quintal of rice is 1500 rupees, and this is government announced MSP. So therefore the author has been suggesting that there should be an appropriate legal framework that is in place. In APMCs, the market price should not be lesser than 1500 rupees. So that is government announced price. So in this way we can ensure fair remuneration for the agriculture produce. The second suggestion was legal recourse to the farmers, such as they have been suggesting that the government has to take up number of measures so that could ensure a better price realization by the farmer. So they include improving the existing infrastructure, including crop planning, market intelligence, post-harvest facilities, food processing sectors, and manage surplus food production effectively. So all these factors would ensure that the farmers would not just rely on the MSP, and it would also help them realize better prices for their produce. So after that, we need to talk about a few things that are enhancing MSP to provide 50% profit margin over the input cost, over the total cost of production of food grains. Okay, so along with effective procurement and distribution mechanisms that are in place, so that has been outlined by the National Food Security Act. So this can address the problems that India has been facing, such as hunger, malnutrition, and farmer income disparity. So all these challenges can be addressed by effectively managing the MSP regime. So that is what the author has been suggesting in this article. Overall, the author has been suggesting the legal recourse or developing the infrastructure, developing existing facilities that helps in fair price or a better price realization for the farmer, and announcing fair remuneration, and also changing the prevailing market ideologies as well. Okay, so the next article that we are going to discuss is about the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has set up a lab network to test food for the pathogens. We all know that the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is an apex body that regulates and controls and fixes standards for various food products. Okay, so that could also prevent food adulteration. And it also ensures the quality food for everyone. Now, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is working towards creating 34 microbiology labs. Okay, so the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India will create 34 microbiology labs across the country, and that will be equipped to test food products of 10 pathogens such as E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. Okay, so it will test the food products the labs will test the food products of 10 pathogens, including E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. So please understand, these 34 labs will help test food for the microbial contamination. If there is any microbial contamination in the food products, that will be tested by these microbiology labs. So that can even lead to the spoilage of food and potential health risks also. Okay. So data from National Center for Disease Control has revealed that, or which tracks the trajectory of several diseases every week. So that has shown that acute diarrheal disease and food poisoning were the two most common outbreaks in the country. Because of that reason, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has been setting off 34 microbiology labs. So that could test 10 pathogens, including E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. Okay, so these 34 microbiology labs will be set up by Food Safety and Standards Authority of India in around 24 states. So 3 labs would be set up in these 3 states, and 2 labs would be set up in Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and Maharashtra, and 1 lab each in these states that are given here. Okay. Now after that, this FSSI labs, there are 79 state food testing laboratories so far in the country. Okay, so those laboratories also test food samples for contamination. Okay, so therefore there are 79 state food testing laboratories in the country, and none of them are currently equipped to test these 10 types of pathogens, because these laboratories very often require maintaining live reference samples and expensive reagents, and even the microbiologist also required in those microbiology labs. So because of that reason, we do not have the microbiology labs for testing E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. Now first understand what is E. coli. It is also called with Escherichia coli, and it is commonly known as E. coli. So it is a type of bacteria that can be found in the intestines of humans and animals. However, it is a rod-shaped bacterium. You can see E. coli here, Escherichia coli here. So it is a rod-shaped bacterium, belong to the family of Enterobacteriaceae. Okay, so it belongs to Enterobacteriaceae, and it is a rod-shaped bacterium. So some kinds of E. coli can cause diarrhea, while others can cause urinary tract infections, respiratory illness, pneumonia, and other illnesses. And this is about the Escherichia coli pathogen. Now we will try to understand briefly about Food Safety and Standards Authority of India as well. So FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, is an autonomous statutory body, means it is established through the route of Parliament and under the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006. Okay, so it is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. So Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is the administrative ministry of FSSAI. So how did it come into being? As I have already told you that the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006 has consolidated various acts and orders so that have earlier handled food related issues in various ministries and departments. For example, it has clubbed together all the acts and all the orders with respect to the food safety. Food Adulteration Act 1954, and Milk and Milk Products Act 1992, Edible Oil Act. So all those different acts were clubbed together under the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006 to form the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India Act. So it is a statutory body, right? So that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the like button, and thank you.